And today I just want to share a quick video that has a little marketing tip for any podcasts that are looking to make sharing either their show or individual episodes really simple. And it's using it's using a platform called Podkite. And Podkite, as you can see on screen here, it's discoverability analytics for podcasters. Basically, it's a long way of saying it makes it really easy to create a link to share with your listeners, and that will actually take them through to their preferred platform. It's got a lot of other cool features, but the Kitelinks, which is what we're going to look at today, is a really sweet one for sharing your show. Just to give you a quick idea, I use Captivate.fm for my podcast hosting. And they also allow me to have, subscription options and different calls to action for my podcast player, which I'll show you in a second. So you can see here in my marketing area of my dashboard, I've got 2 call to actions. I've got one that's listen to the show on your favorite app, and there you can see the kite link that I've created for the show. And you've got one about the newsletter. So that's a really cool feature that Captivate offers. So if you go over to my website that I have the shows on, if you look at the embedded player, you can see that when I go to the subscribe option, it opens up Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and Overcast. Pretty much the most popular apps that many people use to listen to podcasts on. However, if I go to the links option, that now shows you the 2 calls to action that I spoke about earlier. So listen to the show on your favorite app and never miss a show, subscribe to the newsletter. If I click the listen to your show on your favorite app option, it will bring up the kite link that I've created for the show. So immediately, whether you're on your desktop or your mobile phone, you've got an option to start listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many, many other options for podcast apps there. So it's got a really cool little feature of write a review. So I can put the title, my review, how many stars I want to give it, and then save that either on Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, or Stitcher, which is a really cool little feature. So to create stuff like that, you simply create a free account at Podkite. And once you've created an account, obviously you log in. So I'm just going to do that now. And this will take you to my dashboard. Okay, so you can look down here. You've got a bunch of different options for the amount of podcasts that you're tracking. So it could be my, podcast stories podcast, my old personal podcast, my wife's mental health and me podcast. So you can track a bunch of podcasts here. And it gives you a little score here where the higher the score, the more engaged and better, more engaged the audience, better the performance. And it tells you where your reviews and etc. are coming from. But let's go to the links. So like I say, you've got Kitelinks. And if we click into the Kitelinks, you'll see that I've got a bunch of links already created for individual shows, etc. It's really simple to create a kite link. So basically what you want to do is click the create a new link option and then just type in what your show is going to be called. So let's just say episode 10, for example. And then you can actually customize your URL. And what I've done with every guest I've had on my show, I've given a customized URL with basically their name. So let's just say I'm going to do test account. Okay, so there you go. This URL is free. You can also link to an existing episode from your podcast. So you can look at the episodes you've got already, and you can create a link for that. So let's go to a show that I've already created. So Coming Your Way in May and June. That's an old episode, for my show. So that's the show episode that the link is going to, connect to and link to. And this is what the link's going to look like. So you can see up there, kitelink./test account. And just hit create. And then once you've done that, it'll create your link for you. And at the moment, it shows that there's no data available, obviously, with click analytics and overview. But that's cool. Now, what you can also do in this, which is really excellent for collecting newsletter data and encouraging a review, you can select an opt-in. So I'm going to add my newsletter option here. And what that will do is that will create a little call to action at the top of the Kitelinks once the Kitelinks are opened for people to sign up to the podcast and newsletter. Now you can also, do you want to show rate and review call to action? Yes, I do. So that's where you'll get the option, as you saw on the Kitelinks, to actually, click and leave a review on Podchaser, on Apple, and on Stitcher, I believe. And now you can also choose which apps you want to have active. So like I say, I've got them all active for pretty much all the links I create. If you were looking at your analytics in your podcast account and seeing that most of your listeners came from, say, the big three, so Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, you may just want to use these as an option. You may just want to have Podchaser and Pocket Casts as an option, for example. So you can switch, which ones you want on and off, and you can also grab them and rearrange them. So it's a really cool feature. You can put Apple down there if most of your listeners come from Spotify, for example. So it's just like a really simple way. I guess you can't go up the way, so I'll just do that down the way like that. It's just a really cool way to actually, get your show and your reviews the way you want them to look. So there you've got your textual links, and you can see which ones are active there, so that's cool. So once you've done that, that's it, you're good to go. So basically, this is your link here, and you can copy and share it. So that's it copied. If I open it up at the moment, you probably won't see links there, but you might actually. No, you do, because it's an older show. If it was a new show that you were creating a link for, you wouldn't see any of these links here until your show had propagated through the different, podcast apps. You may see Spotify. Spotify's pretty good at getting a show live as soon as it's published, and you may see something like Pocket Cast or somewhere like that. But once I normally give it up to 24 hours and then start sharing the Kite link, because that's when you tend to find that these guys are all populated, with the actual show details. Okay, or if you want to just ask people to review your show, as you can see there, you've got a specific URL. To review your actual episode or show and details. So again, copy and share that. And what happens then is once you click that one, it'll open up just a pure review option for you. So again, you can start listening to the episode in question. You can put the title, so great show, loved it. Put some blurb in here, really cool guest, whatever you want to write for the podcast that you're listening to. And then save it on your preferred, podcast app. So Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher being the only ones that really offer reviews at the moment. And then once you've got all that details, once your clicks have been, sent out, either using a newsletter, sharing on social media, etc., you can start to come back and you can start to look at some analytics. And what that does is you can get the analytics for the last, 14 days, or you can go for longer. So you can go back to when a show went out, for example, and that will tell you how many clicks that it got, what people were listening to, on, so Apple, Spotify, Breaker, Google, Overcast, where they came from, etc. So it just gives you some nice details about the show, what's the most popular podcast apps, etc. And it's just a cool way to, create a single link that offers all the main podcast apps to listen to. So you can see it here, you get the main podcast apps, and this is really cool if people are clicking the link on, say, an Instagram story or an Instagram feed or Twitter, because they're already on their mobile, so they can go straight to the actual podcast app on their mobile phone for the relevant, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. So if they've got an Android, it will open in Google Podcasts. If they've got iPhone, it'll open in Apple Podcasts. It's a really cool feature. Anyway, guys, like I say, this is a Podkite. It's free to create an account and start creating links, etc. But I highly recommend going for the slight premium one. You've got the starter, which is $7 a month in the USD, which is for one podcast. You can create SEO terms, etc. You can create 30 kite links per month. You've got a whole bunch of features there. Or you've got, $19 a month that has the search terms that the competitor podcast in your niche are ranking for. And you got some other features like UTM parameters for campaign tracking, dashboard, export ranks, and a few other features. So like I say, it's free to join in the first place, and you can grow at your own pace. You can start to pay for a premium if you wish, and it's got a lot more features on the back end, well worth checking out. And it's a really cool way to actually, promote your show. Hope this helps, guys, and I'll be sharing more tips soon to help you grow your own podcast. Until the next time, take care, and we'll speak soon.